If you experience anxiety or panic attacks, this video is for you because what I'm going to do is offer you a simple 5-step process that you can implement in order to reduce anxiety to be able to work with it more skillfully. My name's Eddie. I'm with the Mindful Emergence, where we offer simple steps using mindfulness, movement, and breathing practices to help you navigate your way through life more skillfully. So let's talk about anxiety. Uh, it's so interesting about anxiety because we have this negative feeling about it, but the reality of it is it's a normal adaptive response in the body that tells us that we're in danger. And so dealing with anxiety can help us practice on how to eliminate it or at least manage it. But here's the deal. Because we're experiencing anxiety doesn't necessarily mean that we're in danger. There's this thing called the limbic system. You may have heard of the amygdala. It's in our brain. It's connected to the nervous system. And what it's doing is trying to keep us safe. And if it gets some kind of indication that there might be danger, what it does is it activates the sympathetic nervous system into a fight or flight response, or in some cases, a freeze response. And this fight or flight activation is this anxiety that's very, very uncomfortable. I'm real familiar with panic attacks. In my 20s, I was incarcerated on a narcotics conviction. I ended up in a maximum security prison that exploded in an uprising in 1971, in which 43 people were killed. So I experienced severe trauma, and over the period of decades, I had a lot of really bad panic attacks. And it wasn't until I really understood what was going on and I started getting treatment for it that the anxiety attacks have lessened or almost gone away. But I still do experience anxiety. And this is a technique that I use, and I found it to be very helpful. And I've been teaching it for years. And many of the people I've taught it to have found it tremendously helpful. I know a guy who had such severe social anxiety. He found it extraordinarily difficult just to walk into a grocery store and do his shopping. But he started using this technique and found that he could go in, he could shop, he might get a little bit of anxiety, but it was manageable. So he could get his food, pay for it, and leave. He said there were times where he actually had bolted from the grocery store because it was so intense he couldn't deal with it. But then using this technique, he was able to manage okay. So I'm going to give you the 5 techniques, but first I want to say, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. And of course, if you want more content, I've got two playlists that deal with this subject. One is called Healing Trauma, and another one that we have is Self-Care for You. So we upload videos every Monday and Thursday. Hit that notification bell and subscribe if you want to get new content as we release it weekly. And I love it when you provide comments, when people do that, and I will get back to you. So here's the 5 steps. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is what the technique is called. Maybe you've heard of it. So the first thing that it's very helpful to do is acknowledge 5 things around you. Look around wherever you are and name 5 things. For example, in my office right now, I can see the lamp. I can see a picture on the wall. I can see a tree outside. I can see a pencil on the table. I can see my computer. Okay? And you don't have to stop at 5, but name at least 5 things that you can recognize with your eyes. All right? The next thing is acknowledge 4 things around you that you can touch. Now, if you're in a position where you can get up and move around, then sure, go ahead. But right now, as I'm sitting here, I can stroke my hair, I can touch my shirt, the desk, my legs, I can rub my legs. There's all kinds of things right now that I can touch. So, 5 things you can see, 4 things that you can touch. 3 things that you can hear. Now, this can be a little tricky. depending on where you are. But a lot of times we can hear traffic, we can hear music, we can hear the sounds of people talking. Maybe you're in the DMV. You know, there's a lot of sounds in there, right? Maybe we're getting anxious and worked up, surrounded by people. That was my trigger. My trigger was feeling enclosed, okay, like you can be in a crowded space like that. So listen and see if you can pick out three things you can hear. One thing you can hear is your own breathing. All right. So 5, 4, 3, see, touch, hear. Two things that you can smell. Now, I can bring my shirt up and smell that. Maybe my hair, something around me that I can smell. And you know, maybe you're sitting in a chair and you can lean over and smell a pillow, or if you're outside in nature, there's all kinds of possibilities that you can explore. And this doesn't have to be precise. You know, if there aren't two things that you can smell, don't worry about it too much. Just do the best you can. And then, so we got five things that we can see, four things we can touch, three things we can hear, two things we can smell, and one thing, we've got the fifth of the senses, right? Something you can taste. Maybe it's the aftertaste of coffee or some chewing gum, your last meal, or maybe you've got a sip of water there that you can take. Okay. So those are the 5 steps. And when you get done, if you notice that you're feeling a little bit better, celebrate that. Celebrate that success that you've had and really feel into the body and notice what that different kinds of experience it is. And congratulate yourself on the fact that you have skillfully engaged this very difficult experience and been able to work with it. For one thing, just doing this technique will take our mind off of the spinning and the narrative and the future tripping about what might be happening and giving it a job to do. But by engaging the senses, we're coming into our body in a way that should hopefully feel safe and inviting. And what this does is it helps us come out of that fight or flight response in the sympathetic nervous system and come back down into what's often referred to as the window of tolerance or the resiliency zone, where the prefrontal cortex that is able to actually assess the situation, realize I'm not in danger, can work and help us make good decisions. So I hope you found this useful, and thanks for watching.